Hello everyone, this is Bridget Baggett with Career Innovations. I want to first thank everyone for joining me today for our weekly Q&A session. This session will be recorded. It will be uploaded to our growing YouTube channel. If you're not familiar with our YouTube channel, it's Career Innovations, all one word. There's no space in between, and if you type that into YouTube, you'll actually see our green logo, and you can actually go there and look at some of the videos or the past workshops that we've uploaded. And this again will be uploaded to the channel. We are up to date with the uploads. I think only one upload from last session will have to be uploaded. From there, we do have all the workshops uploaded, so everything should be current. And we'll get this one up there before the end of this week as well. And if this is your first time joining us or using a GoToWebinar platform, you can ask questions one of two ways. It really depends on how you logged into the workshop. You can raise your hand and I can unmute your mic, and you can verbally ask your question, or you can type your question down in the text chat or question box below. Depending on if you were given an audio pin, which is needed to actually speak verbally through the microphone. Just keep in mind, since we are covering a lot of material and we're addressing questions that were asked prior to the workshop, your questions will actually be answered following the presentation if you did not submit a question before the workshop began. And I really do urge everyone to go ahead and submit their questions. When you register, you're given an option, and it actually asks your question when you do register to enter in any questions you'd like to be addressed in the workshop. That way we can incorporate these questions into the actual slides. You'll get a more informed answer, and you won't just get an answer off the top of our heads in the spur of the moment. We actually do research on these questions, and we also try to incorporate real life examples to give you some type of insight to the challenges that you're dealing with. So please send questions before the workshop. So let's go ahead and get started today. Today's theme, as you can see, it's August, school's back in. If you do have school-age children, they're either going back to school, that summer's over with, and also it's kind of getting people re-engaged into working towards their career. So I also call it not only back to school, but back to work. This is the time right now that you should be also getting engaged into your work environment, finding how you can better your best and how to make that next step, the best step for you. If you're currently unemployed, or if you're, gainfully employed, just looking to, take a different direction or looking to move upward in your current organization. This is the time to start really, engaging with your organization, tighten down with your skill set, and really stay focused on what you ultimately want to do professionally. So that's why I wanted to put together this particular theme. Thought it was very appropriate because, everyone's going back to school, and this is pretty much the week, or, some people went back last week, some people go back this week, and, there are some schools that actually start after Labor Day. So we're in the back to school season. What I do like to start with, I like to start with the general firm overview of what Career Innovations is, what we do, and basically who we are. Career Innovations is pretty much an executive search firm. Me, Bridget Baggett, I'm the founder of Career Innovations, but I also pride myself as being the director of recruiting. So I really do like to help people find, opportunities that are out there, and I like to connect those decision makers with the candidates that are available on the market. And I also wanted to give these Q&A sessions because, of course, we aren't able to place every single person that comes across our desk. Every single person that reaches out to us, we may not have a home for. We may not be able to find that professional outlet for you, because, of course, as many recruiting and staffing agencies, you work on behalf of the employer. But I still wanted to offer some type of outlet or resource for those candidates that, may be struggling out there. And this is the way I do this, by offering these free Q&A sessions that I give live Monday every week, and if I do miss a week, I definitely let you know ahead of time, but that rarely happens. I'm always here trying to find some way to, address some of the challenges that we do encounter. As you can see, some of the things that we offer outside of HR and job seeker training, we do resume writing and edits, market research, compensation benchmarking for employers, and we also do referral and retention workshops as well. Today's quote, you can't solve your problems with the same thinking used to create them. And of course, this is one of those infamous quotes from Albert Einstein, and I really do like this quote because sometimes you try to dig yourself out of a situation, and you really can if you don't understand how you got there. And it does take a different way of thinking to get you out of that. So I really do appreciate that quote. So let's look at some of the questions that were asked. Some of these questions I actually put together because even though they were asked different ways, they pretty much were covering the same topic. So when I go through the slides, you'll actually see me point out some of the questions, and I'll probably point out more than one because I'm going to be covering different aspects of different questions that were asked on one particular slide. So every question doesn't get its own slide because some of the slides actually do address multiple questions that, as you can see on this board. The first question was, ATS-friendly resumes may get you in the system but eliminates the human element. How does one keep personality in ATS resumes? The next one is, I'm applying to jobs but not getting responses. How can I make my resume and cover letter more impressive? Next one is career change. Where do you look if you do not have experience in a field that you are interested in? Next one is suggestions for experienced marketing professional to transition into strategy consulting, training to fill gaps. Next question, how do I make my resume more desirable to recruiters? My client service experience is mainly in the broadcast post-production field. How can I find the right position in my experience in the greater Atlanta area? And the last question was how to get an interview. And like I said, we're going to address these questions mainly in multiple slides, but many of them are actually going to overlap. Let's take a look at the first question. The first question was about the resume. An ATS-friendly resume may get you in the system, but eliminates the human element. How does one keep personality in ATS resumes? I first wanted to address how to even get through an applicant tracking system, which is an ATS system, let alone include that human element or that personality that you would love to enclose in there. But I'm seeing a lot of job seekers finding it hard to even break through the ATS system. Another question was, I'm applying to jobs but not getting results or not getting responses. How can I make my resume and cover letter more impressive? But first, let's address, a resume is tailored for any type of ATS system. It may not be the most creative or even attractive resume. But you must believe this type of resume that you're actually trying to create for an ATS system isn't designed to dazzle. Honestly, the recruiter or hiring manager may not ever see your resume. And the reason why I bring this up is, have you ever applied for a job and received a "we regret to inform you" email almost immediately after applying? Think about it. Do you truly believe someone reviewed your resume that quick and made a decision before you can even close your browser? The reason why I ask that is because these ATS systems, they don't take long to scan your resume. They don't take long to see if you're going to be a fit for their organization. So ATS systems definitely can be a hurdle for job seekers. These systems are actually designed to screen out people that are unqualified. So when you're actually putting together your resume, keep this in mind. Keep this in mind when you're putting together what you're looking for or what you're trying to sell, in your resume. And keep in mind that, these applicant tracking systems are also taking a look at your resume and comparing it to the requirements of the job. The first thing I wanted to talk about were the 5 things, or kind of like some tips, a way you can optimize your resume for ATS system. The next slide, we are going to address how you can still put that human element, put your creativity, and also put certain things to, that human element that you're looking for, not only inside the resume, but also outside the resume. So the first thing I wanted to tell people is when they submit their resumes online, PDF is a no-go. PDFs, like the standard structure, and PDFs definitely can be easily misread. Think about it. Have you ever converted a PDF to a Word? There's software that actually does that, but you can actually convert a PDF to a Word. And if you don't have a software that, decodes some of the fonts and some of the characters that you may have in your PDF, you may get a scrambled Word document. And that's exactly what, an ATS system reads. If they're programmed to read a particular standard or structure, they're going to decode, this PDF to be something that it's not. So you want to make sure that you're using a Word document, an appropriate document that's going to be easily readable by something like an ATS system. Next thing, you want to eliminate any type of tables or graphs that you may have on your resume. And this really goes for the marketing executives, sales executives. I really do see people, they're starting to get more creative. They're starting to add more elements to their resume. And little do they know, this is actually a distraction. This is actually holding you back from getting your resume to the decision maker if they are using an ATS system. The ATS system is not going to be able to interpret your graph or interpret your Excel sheet that you upload. And some people actually do a cut and paste of an actual image. So it's not really programmed. It's kind of a still image inserted into their resume. And people don't understand how this is actually tripping up the ATS system and getting their resume to get a lower score. Next thing you want to look at, or having some type of keyword section. Again, the ATS resume isn't designed to look pretty. It's designed to be almost a sheet of data in which a electronic application is to be read and be graded against. So this is something that, you're probably thinking, what kind of keyword section? This is the same way that people tag their websites. People use tag words on their blogs. People use tag words. I know if you're familiar with the SEO, this is how they're able to extract different type of keywords. So when you type in something, in any search engine, whether you use Google or Yahoo, it's looking for elements that have those keywords in it. And that's how you're able to get a document or get a website at the top of the page. Because it graded that website or that particular document high for that particular phrase that you enter. This is no different from an ATS system. So when they're looking at your resume and they're scanning it, they're scanning for keywords. And not only keywords, they're also scanning for phrases, unique phrases, that is. And you want to know where those unique phrases come from? They come directly from that job description or that posting they have online. And they're actually rating your resume to see how many of those words or how many of those phrases match up to what the requirements are in that job description. And if you have a resume full of fluff, and full of buzzwords that, try to describe your work ethic, but do not address how you can actually do the job and have some of those keywords in there, it would be rejected. And that's why many times, I've heard it all before, that you apply to a job and 10 minutes later you already have "we will regret to inform you" email in your inbox. Someone, and realistically, let's be real with ourselves. No one reviewed your resume within the 10 minutes that you applied. Your resume is sitting in that, your response is sitting in that inbox because that ATS system took that much time to reject your resume and automatically send out an autoresponder to you. So you automatically receive that rejection within, I've heard people get a rejection email within 15 minutes of applying to a job on the weekend. So quite frankly, that kind of gives you some type of insight that, no one's looking at your resume physically. They have these systems in place to actually scan your resumes. So you want to make sure that you have a resume in place that's going to be able to get past that. The next way you can optimize your resume is put your dates last. Excuse me. I've actually seen resumes where I've looked at their resume and there are dates of employment, and it's spelled out from month to day to year, and which isn't really necessary. I don't need to know that it was March the 7th or, August the this or August. I don't even suggest even putting the month. I really strictly use years, and I put that at the very end because first of all, that's not the first thing that you want that ATS system to scan, and being honest with you, that's not the first thing you want employers to see. They're not, they are interested in the length of time because that does show loyalty, but that's not going to be your strongest indicator. So I think that the date should definitely be put last, and especially for resumes that you're using in the ATS system, definitely put those dates behind relevant information. The next one is be very direct. And that goes again with a ATS resume. When you're designing a resume for an ATS system, you want to be very direct. You don't want to use a lot of words that are very unnecessary. And you want to make sure you're putting the words and the phrases in there that represent your industry and represent the requirements to do the job. And again, as I said before, these requirements and these keywords and phrases are coming directly from that job description. That's what they're scanning against. When they have in that box desired or required, these are the keywords they're looking to be very repetitive in your resume. And these unique words, sometimes they put things in there that are going to be unique to that particular job. So that's why sometimes it's not good to use a cookie cutter resume, because when you're submitting that same resume to 100 employers and they have very specific requirements and that's what they're scanning against, you may have that experience, but nobody will know but you, because that ATS system isn't going to pick that up. So you definitely want to make sure that you're doing that. Another one I also want to put in there is be very direct when you put in work experience. I know a lot of people put in, professional experience, and that's fine if you're doing a resume that you're sending directly to someone, like the recruiter or someone asks, hey, send me your resume. You can send them your jazzed up resume, or send the resume that may have the graphs or may have the illustrations that showcase your abilities. If you know that you're sending it directly to someone that's going to lay eyes on it and have some type of hiring authority. But if you're not relying on that and your first line of defense is to upload your resume, you definitely want to make sure that you're having an ATS formatted resume. So I hope that was able to address those two questions. The next question that was asked about showing the human element and personality, far as not only in the resume but also directly to how to get an interview with these employers. So say you get past the resume and you're really trying to get that interview with those employers. You want to figure out a way how to do it, and that's why I put this actual title beyond the resume. You should be answering that question: why should I hire you? And the first thing you want to look at is your attitude. And I know this is going to sound very juvenile, but I can tell you that there are many people on this line that have been job seekers for a while. Their hope has been shattered. Some of their self-esteem has been crushed, and it actually shows. I've actually had interviews and spoke with job seekers that, it's no type of will left. And interviewers can sense if a person is actually genuine and excited and eager versus someone that lacks the confidence. And when you lack the confidence, not only in yourself, they're going to lack the confidence that you can actually do the job. And I'm not saying, you have no right to be upset. You do. But you also have to be able to check those emotions at the door, especially when you're on these phone interviews. Why? Because that's the only way they can gauge. They can only gauge you through your tone of voice. At that point, unless you're doing Skype, or any other type of video interviewing, and you're going through the phone screen, they're using your voice and your tone as the way to gauge, is this person really confident or have the ability to do the job? And you can tell someone you do. But if you're I'm not sure, I was kind of exposed to it, really didn't do it too often, don't know how, I was trained doing it, and you have that bit of skepticism in your voice, this is something that employers pick up on. And that's why I really, really do stress attitude. And I know a lot of people out there have the means and ability to do some of the jobs they apply for, but they don't have that image that they set forth when they interview, because, you're right. This may have been your 100th interview, and you're tired and exhausted, but the employer does not need to know that. So you definitely want to make sure that you're having a positive attitude when you walk into these interviews. The next one is having awareness. This is another way that you're not only going to have that human element, but you're also going to show that you're aware of not only the company that you're applying to, but the market in general, which means the demands, the current events that are going on in the organization or the industry as a whole. I don't know how many times when you've interviewed and they can rattle off the history of the company or some insert that they found on their website, but they really don't have no inclination of where this company stands in the market. And employers pick up on that. And that person, they can tell the employer where they are in the market and how they can get ahead in it. That's the person that they want on their team. Why? Because they see value. So you definitely want to be aware. You want to be up to date with the current events that are happening in your industry, and you want to be able to create a dialogue with that employer. And this is a great way to break the ice with some of these connections that you may not even know exist. Next one you want to look at is knowing your competition. Not only the competition of your employers, but the job seekers just like you. You want to know how you measure up to everyone else that's applying to that job. And many people aren't doing this. And some people want to know why they never get callbacks, why they, why this or why that. And they don't know that somebody else that's in this position or carried this position, may be doing something totally different that you don't know about because you haven't looked them up. It was one company or one person that was applying to a company, and I actually looked at the company and I could see trends with the company, especially a particular position that this person was going for. And I said, hey, if you're applying for this particular role, go to the company and see what the competition looks like. See who they're already hiring in this role. Doesn't have to be in your demographic. Go to the company. If you're applying for a marketing position, you should be logging in, looking at that company and looking at other people that hold that same marketing position. What type of education do they have? What credentials are they bringing to the table? What companies have they worked for in the past? This is a blueprint of the people that they hire. So there's no reason why you should know your competition. The next thing, you want to also look at your network. And I know people scream out network, 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 but not only the network far as going out to network, but the people that you hold dear to you, the people that you will call your colleagues. And as the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. And I can give you an example. I was actually looking for a marketing company to do some marketing for my social media for Career Innovations. And, I actually had a company reach out to me So I decided to hear their spiel and listen to them and see what they could offer and bring to the table. And they claimed they were the best, and they rattled off all the things they could do and how they could increase my social media engagement and yada, yada, yada. They told me all these things they could do. But guess what? It took me less than 5 minutes to discredit their statements. All I had to do was log on and look at where this company stood in the market. This company that claimed to be this marketing master, they had less than 100 connections. They had fewer likes than I did. I went to their Twitter profile. They still were using the egg icon. So your words speak volumes, but your actions definitely would discredit that. So you can tell me you are a great employee, or you do this and you do that, and I go out to say, okay, if you can do all this, where are you at in the market? How can you help me if you're not even there yet? And I didn't make that statement to them, but that came to mind. I'm listening to everything they said they could do, but they had nothing to show for it. They weren't even connected to other marketing people. So your network does speak volumes. So that's why I say it's very important to start rubbing elbows with some of these experts in your industry. Next way that you can market yourself or show your human element, if you don't do it in your resume, is through your cover letter. And I know some people say cover letters are dead, they don't ask for them, but you definitely can display some type of interest. And I also call a cover letter a letter of intent or a letter of interest. And it's also a warm introduction. So those things that you may not been able to fit in your resume, you can elaborate in your cover letter. Or it could have been things that you only touched on in your resume that you want to actually, like you said, explain in your cover letter. How you were able to accomplish some things. How you were able to increase revenue or save money or streamline a process. You can actually do this through your cover letter. And I think your cover letter or letter of interest is another outlet that you should be using to showcase your abilities, but also showcase your personality and creative side. The next thing you should be doing as well is implementing some type of solution. And if you're a regular listener to me, or you're a regular person that logs onto these calls, it probably is not one workshop that goes by where I do not somehow, shape, or form talk about a solution. This is why employers are hiring you. This is why they have this opening. They have a problem that needs to be solved. The same reason why you will hire a plumber or a contractor or electrician, you have a problem that needs to be solved, and you're looking for a person with a specific skill set to solve it. This is no different from the jobs that are out there that you see on these job boards. They have a situation or some type of issue in their organization, and they need to fill it with a person with your skill set. How do you solve that problem? How do you become that solution? And that's what you need to be able to convey to these employers. Because at the end of the day, it's not about you. Companies are in business to give you money. That's not why these organizations went into business. They didn't go in business to pay your mortgage or to put your children through school. They went into business to be profitable. So they want to figure out, how can you bring value to my organization? And the reason how I look at this is the 3-6-9-month plan. Some people call it the 30, 60, 90-day plan. I don't think 30 days or 60 days or even 90 days is a realistic goal. I don't see too much innovation going on in the first 30 days of employment. So I think it's very unrealistic to have a 30, 60, 90-day plan. The best bet is to getting your benefits activated. That's about the most you can do in the first 30 to 60 days. So I spreaded this out, and I thought about the 3-6-9-month plan, which means the first 90 days, which is your 3 months. In some cases, it may be a probationary period for many employers. You should have a plan in place. What do you want to accomplish on the first 90 days? What can you accomplish in the first 6 months? What goals can you accomplish in your first 9 months of employment? And this should be spelled out. And the reason why this works, because no one else is doing it. No one else is coming in there with some type of plan of action in place or some type of idea in place. And what it takes to put together this plan goes back to awareness, knowing your competition, and having a network. Before you can even put together this plan, you're going to have some insight inside that industry, or at least some insight inside that organization. This is not something that you do for every single position that you apply to. But if you're going on a face-to-face, or if you're made it to that second or third round of interviews, you bet that you better be bringing some type of plan that's going to differentiate you from everybody else that's going to be on that panel. And I can tell you one thing, you're going to be the person that's going to stand out from the 2 or 3 other people that you may be competing with for that position. So think about implementing some type of solution. The next thing you should be looking at is the marketing tools that you're using. This is another way that you can start marketing yourself. Again, showing that human element, that personality, and engaging the employer. I'm seeing people going, again, goes to the title of this slide. They're going beyond the resume. They're figuring out ways to reach employers beyond the job boards. You can do this in many ways. I'm seeing a lot of job seekers now having their own little websites. You can actually do this. If you go to my website and click on my blog, I actually list tools, job seeker tools. I don't know if you go to the blogs, you have to list a past blog, so you may have to go to the second or third page. But it's a tool dedicated just for job seekers, and one of the tools I list on there is about.me. It's a free place where professionals like yourself can actually build your own web presence. It's almost like a mini LinkedIn, but being able to basically have your own link and own website. And I'm seeing a lot of people starting to do that now. It goes beyond that resume. And not only that, it keeps your name out there online. Because, like I said, 95% of employers are now starting to look for that web presence. If they're engaging this candidate and bringing them in for an interview, you best believe they've already Googled them, they already LinkedIn them, they already Facebooked them. So you want to have something out there, besides just the resume that you submitted through the ATS. Because guess what your competition is? So you want to think outside the box, beyond the resume. You can do blogs. I've seen people do articles of interest. If you don't have time to write articles of interest, share them. I've gotten a few articles of interest in my inbox from, some candidates that just show me, hey, guess what's out? Guess what the new HR tool is? Or guess what's out here now? And just shared articles. I know as cheesy as that may sound, it keeps that person's name on the top of my head. Now, I'm not going to say their name online because I'm not sure if they want to be recognized, but I can remember people, and then when I think of them, I can also think of, hey, this person may be looking for something, and that person is going to be the first person that jumps to my mind because I remember that article they sent me 2 days ago versus someone that submitted their resume that I never, that I haven't heard from since June. So you definitely want to keep your name fresh and in people's face, and it's just human nature and repetition for them on that end. So that's beyond the resume. I think one of the last questions I had was suggestions for experienced marketing professional to transition into a strategy consulting role. She wants to do strategy consulting, which I call be a strategic consultant. And you're actually asking if, should you do trainings to fill up any gaps, suggesting how you make this transition. The first thing I said is with any career change, and I used her as an example because this was her question, but this goes for anyone that's trying to make a career change or even make a lateral move. You want to look at your transferable skills. How does your current occupation relate to your desired one? So if you're doing something currently in your marketing position, and as a marketing professional, I'm led to believe you do some type of consulting. Again, you didn't give me the title of your marketing position, but I'm thinking most people that are in marketing, they do some type of consulting, whether it's labeled that or not, that's what it is. So you want to be able to find ways that you've incorporated consulting in your current role and make that relate to the position that you're trying to reach. Next one, you want to look at your experience. Can you put your solutions into tangible results? Which means, do you have experience in the strategy field? And if you do, how can you put this into some type of quantitative data? Because this is what employers are going to look at. And that brings me to my third point, is that many consulting methods or strategies are theories until applied. And what I mean by that, there's so many people out here that have, by theory, this is how it should work. And when you actually try to put that in place, you can poke holes in it all day. So that's why I say you really want to get that hands-on experience. Because there were some great ideas. I've actually had management, think of some great ways to streamline a process, and then when they actually put it in motion, it's a total flop. Not because it wasn't a great idea, it just wasn't, something that was practical. So you definitely want to make sure that you're getting some type of hands-on experience, because as a consultant, people are going to rely on your, not efforts, but your solutions that you've implemented in the past. With any type of consulting type of work, they're looking for the proof is in the pudding type of thing. Because when someone hires you as a consultant, they're hiring you for results, not efforts. So you're going to have to be able to build those results. And the only way you can do that is by having some type of hands-on experience. I would do that either through your current position, do some type of job shadowing internally, or find some type of outsourced training. There's a lot of programs that pair you up with some of these consulting firms, and you actually do some type of preceptorship, and you shadow these individuals and train with these organizations on a part-time or full-time basis. You should definitely check out some of the programs that are out there that offer that type of service. So I definitely would try to get that experience. It's kind of like, I call it like people that get the PMI, the project management certification. They have to have so many project management hours, and now on top of the hours, they have to have managed a project that was within a certain budget. So it's not just, I read the theories, this is how it's supposed to work. They actually have to apply this before they can even sit down to take the certification or take the test. And that's how most type of consulting and certifications kind of work. I'm not saying all of them, but to be able to get that type of work, employers definitely are going to be looking at the solutions that you've implemented. And be open and be innovative. And what I mean by that, implement consulting in your current position. If you're currently a marketing professional, say that you're just not in a position to economically go back to school or take off of work to enter some type of full-time program, be innovative. Start implementing some of these consulting solutions in your current position. Go beyond the call of duty, go beyond that job description that you are hired to do, and start implementing some of these strategies. Also talk with your employer, and see if this is a way that you can implement it, and see if there's a way that they can create something for you to do to strengthen that particular type of role that you want to do. You also want to be open to entry level. So say if you're in a position or pigeonholed in a position where you can't incorporate strategies in, find a way that you be open to entry level if you do have to go out and make a career change. And again, going for an entry level position is not for everyone. To be honest with you, you're going to take a pay cut. If you've been a marketing professional for a decade or so, or 5 to 7 years or 10 to 15 years, and you have to go back and take an entry level position, you're not going to go out, you're not going to go in to an entry level position making the same type of salary or compensation. So it may be a wake up call that you may can't afford to take an entry-level position. But you have to be innovative and find ways that you can incorporate this in your daily life and your daily career. So it may be some things that you have to do on your off time to get the experience that you need. So you have to be open to that as well. Okay, I think we're down to our last slide. We're about at a quarter till, and I usually like to keep that 10 to 15 minutes open for any questions and answers. And I hope I was able to touch on everyone's question today. And if I wasn't, here's my contact information. You can email me. Definitely go to the website and set up a phone appointment if you want to have a one-on-one chat. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm under Bridget Baggett, so I usually get the request right away, and I connect with everyone. I especially like to connect with individuals that take the time to actually listen in on our Q&A sessions. So thank you so much. And if you have a question, please raise your hand, and I'd be more than happy to answer it. Okay, I'm getting a lot of thank yous. You're welcome. You answered my question perfectly. Thank you. I'm happy I was able to do that for you. So if I have any more questions, definitely chime in, send me an email, or let me know if there's anything that you're struggling with right now, if there's anything that you'd like to uncover. I give everyone a couple more seconds to do that. After this workshop, when you log off, there's actually a survey that comes up. Please take the survey. It's only 10 questions. I think 8 out of 10 are multiple choice. That gives us insight on, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, what we can do better, some topics that you'd like to talk about later on. I know 2 topics that came up several times is like a LinkedIn one-on-one course. We're trying to put that together before the end of September to actually get people to sign up for that. So let us know what we need to do or what you'll like to see in the future. We do this every Monday. If you can't think of a question now, just bring it to us next Monday. Make sure you send it to us in advance. That way we can incorporate them on the slides and you can get a more informed, thorough answer. Well, I don't see any questions, and I'm getting a lot of thank yous, and I appreciate that. So if there's no more questions tonight, definitely enjoy your night. We got about 15 minutes to spare, so we're going to go ahead and end this early. And have a great night, and hopefully I'll see you next week, next Monday. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye-bye.